Sarah did not drop the tray, but her hands started shaking so much that the spoons on it rattled. She had just stepped into the grand living room of the mansion for the first time. The marble floor shone like water. The gold chandelier above her sparkled like 1,000 tiny suns. The air smelled of perfume and fresh flowers. But Sarah did not see any of that. Her eyes were fixed on the big portrait hanging on the cream-colored wall. A tall, dark-skinned Nigerian man in expensive white agbada and a red cap looked down from the frame. His smile was calm, his eyes were kind. A soft light in the painting made his face glow. Sarah's world stopped. Her chest grew tight. Her breath got stuck halfway. That face, those eyes, that smile. The tray in her hand tilted a little as her fingers trembled. Slowly, like someone moving inside a dream, Sarah lifted her right hand and pointed at the portrait. "Ma." Her voice came out shaky and small. What is my father's picture doing in your house?" Melinda, the billionaire CEO, stood just a few steps away, dressed in a beautiful Ankara gown with gold jewelry shining on her neck and ears. She had been saying something about house rules and staff duty, but now she went silent. She turned her head to the portrait, and then back to Sarah, and then to the portrait again. Her face lost all its color. "You're... what?" Melinda whispered. Sarah's eyes were wide, already filling with tears. "That man, that is my daddy. Jonathan Okafor." The tray shook harder. The room felt too quiet. Somewhere in the hallway, a cleaner stopped sweeping. A guard near the door froze. Even the big wall clock seemed to tick louder. Melinda's lips parted in shock. Because the man in that portrait was her husband, her late husband, the man she had been married to for 20 years. Before this moment tore both their worlds open, Sarah's day had started very differently. That same morning, in a tiny one-room apartment at the back of a crowded Lagos street, Sarah woke up before the sun. The ceiling fan made a soft, tired sound above her head. The room smelled of soap and old wood. She lay on a thin mattress on the floor, staring at the cracked ceiling, her heart pounding. "Today," she whispered to herself. "Please, God, let today change my life." She sat up and folded her blanket. On a small table in the corner, a picture stood in a simple frame. A man and a woman smiled at the camera, leaning close together. The man in the picture wore a white shirt and had kind eyes. The woman's smile was bright and warm. Sarah touched the glass gently. "Good morning, Daddy." "Good morning, Mum," she said softly. They had died 3 years ago in a car accident on their way back from a business trip. One phone call had broken her whole life. Since then, Sarah had been alone. No siblings, no close family who wanted her, just small jobs, hunger, and long nights of crying into her pillow. She took a deep breath and pulled her hand away from the frame. On the bed lay the neatly folded black and white Maid uniform she had bought from the little money she saved. The woman who called her yesterday had said, "If Madam likes you and you get the job, you will start immediately. Come ready." A job. In a billionaire's house. Sarah's heart raced as she dressed. Black skirt, white shirt, simple black shoes. She tied her hair back and checked herself in the small, cracked mirror. "You can do this," she whispered. "You have to." Lagos was waking up when she stepped outside. Sarah squeezed herself into a crowded bus, clutching her small brown handbag. She had heard of Madame Melinda before. Everyone talked about her. The Iron Lady, a billionaire CEO, a woman who built her companies from almost nothing. Some people said she was too strict. Others said she had a soft heart, but she did not show it easily. Sarah just knew one thing. If she could work in that house, maybe she would no longer have to choose between paying rent and eating. Her hands were sweaty by the time the bus dropped her near the estate gate. High white walls, sharp security wires on top. A long black gate that slowly rolled open when the guard checked her name. Inside the compound, everything was neat and quiet. Flowers lined the path. The mansion rose before her like something from a movie, tall, wide, and shining in the morning sun. A senior maid met her at the door, checked her name, and gave her a quick talk about respect, rules, and hard work. Sarah nodded again and again, trying to remember everything. Then the woman said, "Madam wants to see you now. You will greet her and then be shown around." Sarah's heart beat so hard it hurt. Melinda sat in one of the living room chairs when Sarah entered for the first time. She was a tall, elegant woman in her late 40s, with dark skin, sharp eyes, and a confident way of sitting. Her Ankara gown was rich and colourful, and her hair was styled perfectly. She looked like someone who knew what she wanted and always got it. Sarah bent down quickly. "Good morning, Ma." Melinda only gave a small nod at first. Her eyes moved from Sarah's shoes to her face. "You are Sarah," she said. "Yes, Ma. You lost your parents." Melinda's voice was calm, but there was a strange softness under it. "Yes, Ma. In an accident, 3 years ago." "I see." Melinda paused. "In this house, we work hard. We respect one another. I do not like laziness or lies. If you are honest and serious, you will eat and sleep well here. If not, you will leave. Do you understand?" "Yes, Ma," Sarah said again, her voice almost shaking. Melinda stood up. "Come, let me show you the living room and where you will mainly work." She turned and began to walk, her heels making soft sounds on the floor. Sarah followed behind her, her heart still beating fast, but now with a little hope. She looked around carefully, trying not to stare too much at the beautiful curtains, the glass tables, the giant TV, and the shining decorations. Then they stepped into the main living room, and everything inside, Sarah broke and froze at the same time. Her eyes landed on the big portrait on the wall. That one, the man, the smile, the face she had kissed goodnight as a child, the man who had carried her on his shoulders, the voice that had called her, "My little doctor," her father. Her knees felt weak. Her hand tightened on the tray she was holding. "Sarah, this is," Melinda began. But Sarah did not hear the rest. She raised her shaking hand and pointed straight at the portrait. "Ma," she whispered, her voice cracking. "What is my father's picture doing in your house?" Melinda turned fully toward the portrait now, as if seeing it for the first time in a new way. Jonathan, her husband of 20 years. The man she had buried with her own hands 2 years ago. The man who had always told her, "One day we will have our own child, don't lose hope." The man who never gave her a baby. Her throat tightened. "What did you say?" she asked, her voice barely a breath. "Who is that to you?" Sarah swallowed hard, tears spilling from her eyes. "He is my father, Ma," she said. "My name is Sarah Jonathan Okafor. That is my daddy. He died in a car accident with my mother 3 years ago." The tray in her hand rattled again. Silence swallowed the room. Melinda stared at Sarah like she was seeing a ghost. "Impossible," she whispered. "Jonathan was my husband. For 20 years, we never had any child." Her fingers began to shake. Memories rushed through her mind. His late business trips, the times he came home tired and quiet, the secrets in his eyes, sometimes like there was something he wanted to say but never did. Melinda pressed a hand to her chest. If what you are saying is true," she said slowly, "then—" She stopped. She turned to the senior maid standing in the corner of the room, also staring with her mouth open. "Call Dr. Tunde," Melinda said, her voice suddenly firm. "Now, tell him to come here immediately. I want a DNA test done today." The maid hurried away. Sarah wiped her tears with the back of her hand, her legs shaking. A test? Her heart pounded even harder. What if she was wrong? What if this was some strange mistake? But deep down, she knew. She knew that face. She knew that smile. They sat in heavy silence until the doctor came, a kind-looking man with glasses and a serious expression. He greeted Melinda, then looked at Sarah with gentle eyes as he took her blood sample, and Melinda's too, promising to hurry. Hours later, the sun had moved higher in the sky. The mansion felt like a glass box filled with fear and hope. Then the front door opened again. Dr. Tunde walked back in, holding a brown envelope. Melinda stood up so fast, her chair moved back. Sarah could hear her own heartbeat. The doctor opened the envelope, took out the paper, and looked at it carefully. His eyes widened just a little. He looked up at Melinda and Sarah. "Madam," he said slowly. "According to this result, Sarah is—" Dr. Tunde's voice trembled as he read from the paper. 100% the biological daughter of Mr. Jonathan Okafor. The words floated in the air like they did not belong to the world. Sarah covered her mouth with both hands. Melinda staggered back a single step, her eyes wide, her breath caught in her throat. For a moment, no one moved. No one blinked. The whole mansion felt frozen, like time itself was afraid to take another step. When Melinda finally spoke, her voice cracked. She is his daughter," she whispered, looking at Sarah as if seeing her for the very first time. Dr. Tunde nodded softly. "Yes, Ma, the result is certain." Sarah felt her knees grow weak. Tears poured down her cheeks, warm and unstoppable. She pressed her hands harder to her face. Her father, her own father, had lived in this house. He had been married to this woman for 20 years. And she never knew. Melinda slowly sat back down, like her legs could no longer hold her weight. She pressed both hands against her forehead and whispered, "Jonathan, you told me we would have a child one day. You told me to keep hoping. You already had one." Her voice cracked on the last word. The pain in that sentence filled the whole room. But then something unexpected happened. Melinda lifted her head. Her eyes, though full of tears, were steady. She looked at Sarah, who stood shaking, crying silently, afraid of what this woman, her father's wife, might say or do next. "Sarah," Melinda said quietly. Sarah looked up, wiping her tears quickly with her shaking fingers. "Ma, I did not know. I swear. I'm so sorry." Her voice cracked. But Melinda raised a hand gently. "Don't apologize. You did nothing wrong." Her voice was soft, softer than Sarah had expected from a billionaire CEO known across Nigeria for her strength, sharp decisions, and bold leadership. Melinda stood to her feet again. She walked slowly towards Sarah. Each step felt heavy with shock, fear, confusion, and something else, something growing. When she reached Sarah, she stopped just inches away from her. For a few seconds, she simply looked at the girl, this poor orphan who had come to work as a maid, wearing a white and black uniform and carrying a tray with shaky hands. This girl with tired eyes. This girl who looked exactly like her husband when she cried. Then Melinda did something no one expected. She opened her arms and gently pulled Sarah into a tight hug. Sarah gasped, her breath breaking as fresh tears rushed out. She did not know how to react. She stood frozen for a moment. Then slowly, carefully, she hugged Melinda back. Melinda began to cry in small, silent sobs. "I never had a child," she whispered into Sarah's hair. "For 20 years I prayed, for 20 years I waited. And now I find out that the girl standing in front of me is part of him, part of the only man I ever loved." Sarah's tears soaked Melinda's shoulder. "Ma, I'm so scared," she cried. "I don't know what is happening." Melinda pulled back a little and held Sarah's face gently in her hands. "You don't have to be scared," she said softly. "Not anymore. You are not alone anymore. If your father is gone, then let me give you what he cannot give you now." Sarah blinked. "Ma?" Melinda took a deep breath, her voice trembling and sincere. "I may not have given birth to you, but I accept you, as my own." Sarah's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Her heart squeezed so tightly it hurt. Melinda pulled her close again in a warm embrace, and this time Sarah hugged her with all her strength, crying deeply in her arms. Their tears mixed, one crying because she gained a child she never thought she would have, the other crying because she found a mother she never expected to meet. The staff nearby began wiping their eyes quietly. Even the house guard turned away, blinking fast. It was a moment no one could forget, a moment that sealed something powerful. A new beginning. But new beginnings come with new storms. Later that evening, after Sarah had been shown to a guest room instead of the small maid's quarters, Melinda sat alone in the living room, staring at Jonathan's portrait. The soft lamp near the wall made the painting glow. She crossed her arms and whispered, "Why didn't you tell me? Why did you keep her a secret? Why did you leave her alone in this world?" Her tears dropped silently. Then she smiled, small, sad, but real. "Maybe it doesn't matter now. She is here, and I will take care of her." But deep in her heart, she felt a storm moving. A mix of anger, love, and confusion tangled together. She knew the journey ahead would not be simple. Meanwhile, in her new room, Sarah sat on the bed, not a small mattress on the floor, but a clean, soft one, with white sheets. The air smelled like lemon spray. A small lamp glowed beside her. She looked at her hands. She looked at the photo of her parents she had placed on the table. "Daddy," she whispered, touching his face on the picture. "Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell her?" Her voice broke. "Is this really my new life? Am I dreaming?" She lay down and hugged a pillow tight. crying softly. Her tears were a mix of pain and hope, two feelings fighting inside her chest. Outside, the sky was deep blue, and a soft wind blew through the compound. But this quiet night wasn't the end of the story. It was only the beginning. The next morning, something happened that Sarah would never forget. She woke up to a gentle knock on her door. When she opened it, Melinda stood there still in her night robe, her face calm but serious. "Good morning," Melinda said softly. Sarah bowed slightly. "Good morning, Ma." Melinda shook her head. "No, not Ma anymore." She paused, taking a breath. "You can call me Mommy, if you want." Sarah blinked fast, her chest tightening. Mummy?" Melinda nodded. "Yes, but only if it feels right for you." Sarah's lips trembled. Then the tears came again, soft and warm. "Mummy," she whispered. Melinda reached forward and pulled her into another hug, holding her tightly. But just as they hugged, a loud ringing sound cut the moment sharply. Melinda's phone buzzed. She pulled back, picked it up, glanced at the screen, and her face changed. A shadow fell over her eyes. "Sarah," she said slowly, "we have a problem." Sarah's heart dropped. "What problem?" Melinda swallowed hard. "It's about your father. I just received a message, something I never expected." She handed the phone to Sarah, and when Sarah read the message, her hands began to shake all over again. Sarah stared at the phone in her hand, her eyes moving slowly across the glowing screen. Each word felt like a heavy stone dropping deep inside her stomach. "Madam Melinda, we need to talk urgently about Mr. Jonathan's hidden accounts. Some things have been discovered. Please, call immediately. Signed, Barrister Osakwe." Sarah looked up at Melinda, with fear rising inside her. "Mummy, what does this mean?" she whispered. Melinda slowly took the phone back, her lips pressed together. Her heartbeat felt loud inside her chest. "It means your father." She paused, breathing deeply. "It means he hid something else from me, and maybe from you too." Sarah felt her chest tighten. "But why? What else could he hide?" Melinda rubbed her forehead, trying to calm her thoughts. "I don't know, but we will find out." She placed a gentle hand on Sarah's shoulder. "Get dressed, my child. We're going to the lawyer's office." Less than an hour later, they were inside Melinda's sleek black SUV, driving through the busy Lagos morning traffic. The city was alive with noise, car horns, engines, shouting traders, buses squeezing into impossible spaces. But inside the car, everything was quiet. Sarah sat beside Melinda, her hands folded tightly on her lap. She kept staring outside the window, watching the city move past, but she wasn't really seeing anything. She could still hear yesterday's words in her mind. "You are not alone anymore. Call me Mummy." Those words warmed her heart, but now they were also mixed with fear. What if this new message destroyed everything? Melinda held the steering wheel firmly. She drove carefully but fast, her mind running through memories she hadn't touched in years. Jonathan laughing, Jonathan promising her children, Jonathan holding her hand during business dinners, Jonathan traveling often, too often. Had she been blind? Had she been a fool? She looked at Sarah secretly from the corner of her eye. The girl's face, so innocent, so tired, so full of hope, looked just like her father's. The resemblance was almost painful. Melinda took a slow breath. "No matter what we hear today," she said softly, "I want you to remember something." Sarah turned to her. "Yes, Mommy?" "I chose you," Melinda said. "Not because of a DNA test, not because of pity, but because God brought you into my house for a reason, and I will not turn away from you, not for any secret your father kept." Sarah's throat tightened, and she nodded quickly, blinking back tears. Melinda squeezed her hand once before returning both hands to the wheel. They arrived at a tall glass building in Victoria Island, one of the places where only rich men held meetings. The lobby was wide and cold, with marble floors and a golden reception desk. Barrister Osakwe was already waiting for them inside a private conference room. He was a dark-skinned man in his early 50s, with sharp glasses, a calm voice, and a face that never revealed too much. As soon as Melinda and Sarah entered, he stood and bowed slightly. "Madam Melinda, and this must be Sarah." "Yes," Melinda said. "What did you find?" The lawyer gestured for them to sit. Papers were spread across the table. Some had seals, some had signatures, some had photographs clipped to them. Sarah suddenly felt like she had walked into a courtroom where someone would judge her father. The lawyer began, "As you know, before his death, Mr. Jonathan owned several companies, estates, and offshore accounts. But recently, during a system review, our office found documents connected to—" He paused and looked at Sarah gently. "A second family." Sarah's heart stopped. Melinda closed her eyes for a moment, breathing slowly. Barrister Osakwe continued, "It appears Mr. Jonathan had been sending money regularly to a private account belonging to a woman named Grace Okafor. According to our investigation, this woman was—" He inhaled carefully. "She was Sarah's mother." Sarah felt her whole body go still. Pictures slid across the table toward her. She reached out with shaky fingers and picked one up. It was a photograph of her mother smiling, beautiful, holding baby Sarah in her arms. Her mother looked peaceful, happy, protected. So her father did support them. He did love them. He didn't abandon her. But there was more. The lawyer cleared his throat. "There is also a letter he wrote 2 months before he died." Melinda and Sarah both looked up quickly. "A letter?" Sarah whispered. "Yes." Barrister Osakwe lifted a sealed envelope carefully. He wrote it, signed it, and kept it in his personal safe. It was discovered during a routine audit. Melinda's heart pounded. "Who is the letter for?" she asked. The lawyer looked at Sarah. "For her." Sarah's lips parted. Her eyes widened. "For me?" "Yes." He slid the sealed envelope toward her. "It has your name on it." Sarah just stared at it. Her hands trembled before she even touched it. The envelope felt heavy, as if all her father's secrets were lying inside. Melinda placed a hand over Sarah's. "Open it, my child. Whatever is inside, we will face it together." Sarah slowly broke the seal. She unfolded the letter. The handwriting was familiar, the same handwriting on her old birthday notes, her old school snacks, her old homework corrections. Her father's voice echoed in her mind as she read, "My dear daughter Sarah, if you are reading this, it means something has happened to me. I want you to know that you were never a mistake. I loved you from the moment I knew you existed, but I kept you hidden to protect you. There are people who would never accept you as my child. I feared for your safety. Forgive me for leaving you. Forgive me for the life you had to live. And forgive me for the pain my truth will cause Melinda. She is a good woman. If destiny ever brings you to her, be kind to her. She wanted a child with all her heart. She deserved better from me. Stay strong, my little doctor. You were born for greatness." "Daddy." By the time Sarah finished reading, she was crying so hard she couldn't breathe. Melinda covered her mouth with her hand, tears falling down her cheeks too. Barrister Osakwe respectfully looked away, giving them space. Sarah whispered between sobs, He loved me. He didn't forget me." Melinda pulled Sarah close and held her tight. "Yes," Melinda whispered shakily. "He loved you. And so do I." But before they could breathe in that moment of truth, the lawyer cleared his throat again. "There is one more thing." Melinda slowly released Sarah and wiped her tears. "What is it?" The lawyer hesitated. "This last file. It contains information that may put Sarah in danger." Sarah froze. Melinda's eyes sharpened. "Danger? What do you mean?" The lawyer slid another document forward. And when Melinda opened it, her face changed completely. Her eyes widened. Her hand shook. Her lips parted in shock. "Dear God," she whispered. Sarah leaned forward. "Mummy, what is it?" Melinda looked at her with fear written all over her face. "Your father," she said slowly. "He wasn't just hiding a child. He was hiding from someone." "From who?" Sarah whispered. Melinda swallowed hard. "Someone who still doesn't know you exist, but must never find out." Sarah's heart skipped a beat. "Who?" Melinda took a trembling breath and said the name that made Sarah's entire body go cold. Melinda's fingers tightened around the document until the paper made a soft crackling sound. Her breathing grew uneven. Sarah stared at her, heart pounding, waiting for the name, waiting for the truth her father died trying to hide. Melinda slowly lifted her eyes. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Chief Gabadamosi." The name seemed to slam into the room like thunder. Sarah blinked. Who is that?" Melinda looked shaken, the fear in her eyes deeper than anything Sarah had ever seen. "Chief Gabadamosi is not just anyone," Melinda began softly. "He was your father's biggest business rival. A dangerous man, powerful, ruthless. Someone you don't cross unless you're ready to lose everything. Sarah swallowed hard. But why would Daddy hide from him? What did Chief Gabadamosi do? The lawyer leaned forward, interlocking his fingers. Your father discovered some illegal business activities connected to Chief Gabadamosi. Very serious crimes. If he had reported them, or even if word had leaked, Chief Gabadamosi's entire empire would have collapsed. Melinda shook her head, remembering. Your father was brave. Too brave. He gathered evidence. He planned to expose Chief Gabadamosi. The lawyer sighed. But Chief Gabadamosi discovered your father's plans. Sarah's body went cold. What happened? She whispered. He threatened him, Barrister Osakwe said. He warned your father that if he ever revealed the truth, he would make sure everyone connected to him suffered, including his secret family. Sarah gasped quietly. Her hand flew to her mouth. So, Daddy kept me hidden to protect me. Melinda nodded. Yes, he wasn't hiding you because he was ashamed. He was hiding you because he loved you. Sarah covered her eyes as tears slipped out. The truth hurt, but it also healed something inside her. But, the lawyer continued, Chief Gabadamosi never learned who the second family was. Your father kept that detail secret. Melinda wiped her face. But now that Sarah is here, and her name is on documents, she is no longer hidden. If this information reaches the wrong ears, she could truly be in danger. Sarah's throat tightened. She looked from Melinda to the lawyer, fear crawling slowly into her chest. So, what do we do? She whispered. Melinda shut the file with a firm snap. We protect you, she said. We protect this family. Whatever secrets Jonathan left behind, we face them together. She stood tall, her eyes sharp with determination. No one is going to hurt my daughter. Sarah's breath caught. Mummy. But the moment of courage was cut short when the lawyer's phone buzzed loudly on the table. He checked it, and his face hardened instantly. Madam Melinda, he said, voice stiffening. You need to see this. He passed the phone to her. Melinda stared at the screen. Her face drained of color. Sarah leaned closer. Mummy, what's wrong? Melinda turned the phone slowly toward her. On the screen was a message from an unknown number. A threatening message. A message that made Sarah's heart jump. Tell Sarah she cannot hide forever. We know who she is now. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. No, Melinda said sharply. This must be a bluff. Sarah's existence is not public. Only a handful of people know. The lawyer looked troubled. Still, someone leaked something. Or someone has been watching. Sarah stared at the screen, her chest tightening with panic. How did they know my name? How did they know? Melinda pulled her close. You are safe. I will not let anything happen to you. But Sarah could hear the fear beneath her words. Back in the mansion later that day, the atmosphere was tense. Guards walked around more often. The gates were locked. All staff were told not to reveal anything about Sarah to outsiders. Sarah sat in her room, hugging her knees, replaying everything again and again. Her father, her mother, the secrets, the letter, the threat. It felt like she had been thrown into another world, a world where danger could be hiding behind any corner. A soft knock came on her door. Come in, she whispered. Melinda stepped inside, carrying a tray with jollof rice, chicken, and juice. You haven't eaten, Melinda said gently. You need your strength. Sarah forced a tiny smile. Thank you, Mummy. Melinda sat on the bed beside her. She gently touched Sarah's cheek. I know today was heavy, she said softly. But listen to me, my child. You are not alone anymore. I will do everything I can to protect you, even if it costs me everything. Sarah looked into her eyes. But, you're not scared. Oh, I am, Melinda whispered honestly. But love is stronger than fear. Sarah leaned against her shoulder, breathing shakily. I miss Daddy. I miss him so much. Melinda wrapped an arm around her. I miss him too. But I thank God every day that he left me a piece of himself. In you. Sarah sniffed, wiping tears. Mummy, do you think he wanted us to meet? Melinda smiled weakly. I think he prayed for it. They sat in silence, holding on to each other. But silence never stays forever. That night, around 1 a.m., something woke Sarah. A sound. A strange, soft clicking sound near her window. Her eyes flew open. She sat up slowly, her heart beating fast. Another click. This time louder. Sarah's breath caught. Someone was at her window. She froze completely, afraid to even breathe. Her room was dark, except for a small lamp. The curtains moved slightly as if touched. Then she heard it. A whisper. A man's voice. Sarah. Her heart stopped. She crawled backward on the bed, barely holding back a scream. "We know who you are now." Sarah gasped. No, this couldn't be happening. She grabbed her phone with shaking hands, dialed, whispered, Mummy, please come. Someone is at my window." Footsteps echoed down the hallway almost instantly. Then Melinda burst into the room with 2 guards behind her. "What's happening?" Melinda demanded. Sarah pointed with a trembling finger toward the window. He was there. I heard him. He said my name." The guards rushed to the window, opened it, shined flashlights outside. One guard shouted, "Someone jumped the fence. I saw a shadow." Melinda's hands shook as she hugged Sarah tight. "It's him," Sarah whispered in terror. "Chief Gabada Mosey's people. They found me." Melinda held her even tighter. "No, I will not let them touch you. I swear on my husband's grave, no one will harm my daughter." But Sarah could feel it. The danger was no longer far away. It was right outside her window. And this was only the beginning. Because the moment the guards stepped away from the window, a fresh message came to Melinda's phone. A message that made her knees go weak. "You cannot hide her. Sarah belongs to us now." Melinda's hands trembled as she read it. Sarah looked up at her, fear filling her eyes. "Mummy, what do we do now?" Melinda swallowed hard. "We fight," she whispered. "But first, we run." Sarah's breath caught. "Run? But where?" Melinda cut her off, her eyes fierce. "We must leave Lagos tonight. Before they come back." Sarah felt her heart jump. "Tonight? But—" "No arguments," Melinda said. "Pack your things. We are leaving in 10 minutes." Sarah rushed to her small wardrobe, fear and confusion swirling in her chest. Melinda turned to the guards. "Prepare the car. And tell the driver to use the back route." The guards nodded and rushed out. But as Melinda turned back to Sarah, a loud bang echoed from downstairs. A scream followed. Someone had broken into the mansion. Melinda grabbed Sarah's hand. "Run," she whispered urgently. "Run now." The bang downstairs was so loud that the floor vibrated beneath Sarah's feet. She froze, her heart pounding like a drum inside her chest. Melinda gripped her hand tight and whispered sharply, "Don't look back. Run." Sarah's legs moved before her mind could catch up. She ran down the hallway alongside Melinda as shouts echoed from below. "Secure the door. Stop them. Call backup." Another loud crash followed, wood splintering, furniture toppling, the unmistakable sound of a break-in. Sarah's breath grew fast and shallow. "Mummy, what if they catch us?" "They won't," Melinda said through clenched teeth. "Not while I'm alive." They reached the staircase, but Melinda stopped suddenly when she saw a shadow moving at the bottom. "Back," she whispered. They pulled away just before a tall figure stepped into view. He wore a black mask, black clothes, and gloves. He scanned the hallway with a flashlight, slowly, carefully, searching. Sarah covered her mouth, fear shaking through her whole body. Melinda whispered, "We're taking the servants' staircase. Move quietly." They retraced their steps and hurried into a small door hidden behind a wall curtain. A narrow staircase spiraled down into darkness. Melinda guided Sarah with one hand and held her phone flashlight with the other. Every step creaked softly. Every sound felt too loud. Halfway down, another scream echoed from the main house. A guard. Then a cold voice roared, "Find the girl. Find Sarah." Sarah felt tears slip down her cheeks. They knew her name. They were inside the mansion, and they were not leaving without her. At the bottom of the servants' stairs, they slipped into the kitchen. Pots lay scattered on the floor. A window was smashed open. It was clear someone had already come through here earlier. "Mummy," Sarah whispered, trembling. "We won't make it." Melinda placed both hands on Sarah's face gently. "Listen to me," she said, her voice strong though tears filled her eyes. "You are not going to die tonight. You are not going to be taken. I promised your father I would protect you, and I don't break my promises." Sarah nodded weakly, leaning into her touch. Melinda opened the back door cautiously. The compound outside was silent. Too silent. The guards who normally patrolled were nowhere in sight. A cold breeze moved through the night air, raising goosebumps on Sarah's arms. Melinda squeezed her hand again. "Stay behind me." They ran across the garden, their feet brushing against wet grass. The security lights flickered on, off, on again, like the mansion itself was trembling. When they reached the garage, Melinda pressed the remote to unlock the SUV. Beep beep. But before the doors opened fully, a voice spoke from the shadows. "You're too late, Melinda." They froze. A man stepped into the dim light. Tall, broad shoulders, cold, angry eyes. Sarah recognized him instantly, even though she had never seen him before. Chief Gabadamosi, her father's enemy. Her breath caught in her throat. Melinda stepped in front of her protectively. "What do you want?" Chief Gabadamosi gave a slow, cruel smile. "Is that a question? I warned your husband. I told him there would be consequences." Sarah's skin prickled. You threatened my father." He laughed softly. "Your father stole information from me. He tried to ruin me, but he died before I could teach him a lesson." Sarah felt her blood boil. "My father was a good man." Chief Gabadamosi tilted his head, amused. "Good? He hid you. He hid everything. He thought your existence would save him." Then his smile disappeared. "But now he is gone, and you are not under his protection anymore." Melinda spread her arms to shield Sarah. "You will not touch her." "Oh, Melinda," he sighed. "Always dramatic." He lifted his hand. Two masked men stepped out behind him, both armed. Sarah's breath hitched. Her knees weakened. Chief Gabadamosi smirked. "Hand her over, and I'll leave your house intact. Resist, and I'll burn everything your husband ever built." Melinda's voice was firm. "You'll have to kill me first." Gabadamosi shrugged. "As you wish." One of the armed men stepped forward. Sarah screamed, "Mummy!" Melinda shoved Sarah to the side and shouted, "Run!" Sarah sprinted toward the gate. Her heart raced. Tears blurred her vision. Behind her, she heard Melinda fighting, shouting items crashing, metal clashing. She wanted to turn back, but fear pushed her forward. She ran until her lungs burned. She reached the gate, but it was locked. Heavy. Tall. Impossible to climb. She turned and froze. One of the masked men was running straight toward her. "Stop." Sarah pressed herself against the gate, panic gripping her chest. "Please, please don't hurt me," she cried. The masked man lunged forward. But then, a sharp sound split the air. A gunshot. The masked man collapsed beside her. Sarah screamed and covered her ears. Before she could understand what happened, Melinda appeared breathing hard, holding a small with shaking hands. Her night robe was torn. Her hair was messy, but she was alive. "Mummy," Sarah sobbed, running into her arms. "We're not safe," Melinda said urgently. "More are coming. We must go." She opened the smaller pedestrian gate using a secret code and pulled Sarah out. They ran into the street, waving frantically. A taxi saw them and screeched to a stop. "Please," Melinda shouted. "Hospital now." They jumped in. The driver sped away just as more masked men ran out from the shadows behind them. Sarah held Melinda tightly. "Mummy, are you hurt?" Melinda winced. "I'm fine, but you're shaking. I thought I'd lose you." Melinda hugged her close. "I told you, I won't let anyone take you from me." At the hospital that night, guards were posted around the entrance. The police were notified. Gabadamosi's men had fled, but the fear still lingered in Sarah's chest. And that was when fate turned again. 2 years passed. Few years of hiding. Few years of healing. Few years of Melinda rebuilding her life and protecting Sarah with everything she had. And in those few years, Sarah became what her father always called her, a doctor. She graduated from one of Nigeria's best private universities, paid for entirely by Melinda. She became known for her skill, her compassion, her calm hands. But even miracles face storms. One morning, as Sarah was reviewing patient charts at the hospital, a stretcher rolled in. Her heart dropped. Melinda, unconscious. She had collapsed in the kitchen. Doctors crowded around her. Machines beeped. Nurses rushed. A CT scan revealed a severe blood clot in her brain, one that needed emergency neurosurgery. The head surgeon looked tense. "This operation is risky," he warned. "There's a chance she won't make it." Sarah removed her glasses, wiped her eyes, and said with a steady voice, "I will do it." The room fell silent. "You?" the surgeon asked. "She is my mother." Sarah whispered. I'm the only one who can save her. 6 intense hours passed in the operating room. Sarah's hands moved with skill she didn't know she had. Sweat dripped down her back. Her eyes never left the surgical field. Finally, clot removed, she whispered. Close her up. The team erupted in quiet relief. 2 days later, Melinda opened her eyes slowly. Sarah was sitting beside her, holding her hand, tears spilling down her cheeks. Melinda blinked. Did I make it? Sarah nodded, smiling through her tears. Yes, Mummy, you made it. Melinda's voice cracked. Who saved me? Sarah squeezed her hand gently. I did. Melinda's eyes filled with tears. Thank you, my daughter. Sarah shook her head as more tears fell. I should be thanking you. Mummy, we are all products of second chances. You gave me mine. Melinda pulled her into a weak but warm hug. And in that quiet hospital room, 2 broken worlds finally healed into one. What is your view about this story? Where are you watching from? If you enjoyed this story, comment, share and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.